Alright guys, so I'm here with my dad. Thanks for joining me, Dad.
No worries, Christian.
I finally, I convinced him to read The Way of Kings. You'll all be proud of me. You know how hard it is to convince a family member to commit to something like this. So how about you introduce yourself, Dad, and how did I get you to read this tome of a book?
A tome of a book. Well, at first, when he showed me the book, I thought it was just a doorstop, and I thought, it's been a bit windy. That'll keep the door open. But no, hi, I'm Robert. I'm Christian's dad. And yes, he got me into The Way of Kings. How did he do it? How did he get a 60-year-old? Yes, I know I look good for my age. But how did he get a 60-year-old to read The Way of Kings? I just recently had a birthday and he subscribed me to Audible. It was coming out of my account, which was the way that he normally pays for things, and he downloaded the first free book. So pretty much he got me a present that I paid for, and he just chose the book.
Free book.
So that was it. When I downloaded the book, I was so excited to start reading it because, as it says, 45 hours and 30 minutes to go. As Christian predicted, it was a very enjoyable read. So I managed to get through the whole book. It wasn't onerous. It was just long. That's all I can say. I feel as it's an achievement.
It's a rite of passage, Dad. You're accepted. I'm sure, like most
journey before destination.
What has your experience been as a reader?
I didn't start reading for pleasure until after university and becoming a teacher, and when we would go on holidays, my wife, who is an avid reader, would just give me books to read, and one of the authors that she did give me was James Patterson. And James Patterson got me straight away because every chapter is 2 pages long, and so it became very easy to sort of say, well, I'll only read another chapter or another chapter, and before you knew it, you'd actually finish the book. And, he is a prolific writer as well, and very engaging and interesting, and so I've probably read nearly all of James Patterson's books. So to come up with a book that is 1,000 pages long and listening to a chapter that goes for over an hour, I sort of thought, okay, well,
this better be good.
It better be good.
Yeah.
So that was sort of my history of reading. But now that I've read the first one, obviously
you're a pro now.
You're
good to go.
Yeah, I'm good to go for the next one.
All right. So before we move on to talking about spoilers and actual key events in the book, would you recommend this experience, or how would you sum up this experience to someone maybe around your age who hasn't dabbled in fantasy? I know I kind of threw you in the deep end, but are you glad for the experience?
Yes, I can say that once you get over the initial hurdle of, looking at 45 hours or 1,000 pages of words, and, I must say that Brandon Sanderson has just got an immense imagination, and what he's put on paper is just unbelievable. And when Christian showed me his body of work, this guy must just do nothing else except write, and he writes extremely well. Yes, I would recommend this book. When I got to the end of the book, I had to go to the next book, and so yes, I've continued to read after the
we got him in. All right, so moving on to plot details and things like that. What point was it for you where you were like, I'm invested in the story of the characters and where it's going?
Well, obviously at the beginning, it's hard to sort of get into the book because all of this descriptive stuff's happening and you don't really know where it's going or what's happening. The part that got me was the Kaladin character, finding out where he was at the beginning, but then also hinting where did he come from, what actually happened to him to get him to the point where he is now. When we're finding out about him as a young child growing up, then he ends up being a soldier and a slave. How did that all come about? It made me sort of think, how did he get to where he is now? What were the events? What was what situations was he put in to end up where he was now? Not one particular moment, but following the arc of his story of how he got to where he was.
Let's skip Dalinar for a bit and go to Shallan, because a lot of people find Shallan and the Wave Kings somewhat boring or uneventful. How did you go with Shallan's chapters?
It was interesting to find out about why she was so keen to become Yasna's ward, and there was always that hint of what actually happened to her father and her family and their debts, and how she was going to get out of that. And obviously, trying to steal the Soulcaster off Yasna. I wouldn't say she was a boring character. Her character was interesting in the fact that you knew that it was all going to come together later on. So while he is developing the Shallan character, you knew that there was going to be more to her towards the end.
So were you shocked when Shallan was like, I killed my dad?
That was the part, yeah. When she sort of admitted, when she had to tell a truth, that she'd actually killed her father, and you sort of thought, okay, well, so there's more than meets the eye.
And finding out that Yasna was soulcasting without the Fabriel, what do you think? Any predictions or ideas what that could be?
Well, with Yasna, she's a pretty powerful woman, and I'd never underestimate her. So even when you sort of think that she doesn't have control of a situation, she really does, as was proven when they were walking through the dark streets of the town, and then she ended up killing those 3 attackers.
Yeah.
So.
Were you on her side for that? Do you reckon she should have done that?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Thoughts on Dalinar, the man with the visions, and he needs to unite everyone. How do you like his story?
Dalinar. Like, at first, I felt sorry for him. His brother's the king. He gets killed. He feels guilty that he got killed because he should have been looking after his brother. His nephew becomes king, and he probably isn't the greatest king. He's full of paranoia, and Dalinar would have been a better king, but of course he's now got a conscience, and doesn't want to fight, doesn't want to, wants to reunite, wants to be this touchy-feely kind of guy. Let's all hug and be good, and get back to the way we were.
The codes.
That's right. Then they sort of think, well, he's a little bit loopy because he's having these visions, and even his own son starts to say, Dad, snap out of it. Maybe you got a bit of early onset dementia.
So did you think he was going crazy? Or did you think those visions were real? Or?
No, you got to respect your elders, son. This is the thing. Right? He was having these visions. These visions weren't created for him without a reason. So so you always knew that these visions would have a meaning.
What did you think of Sadeas's betrayal? Were you expecting it?
Oh, yeah. Like, he was always a badass guy. I call him Sadie Ass because I just don't like him. I don't think anybody likes him. And you just knew that sooner or later he was going to turn, and he was going to sabotage something in order to get rid of Dalinar.
And I know when you were reading and we talked about it, you were always saying that Kaladin's going to meet up with Dalinar because they're so close. You see Adolin kind of sees Kaladin very briefly, and you're kind of waiting for that moment. How did you think Sanderson did he pull it off in a satisfying way towards the end with Kaladin in the last battle?
Oh, yeah. No, Kaladin, you knew that Kaladin was going to be riding in on his white horse and save the day. So even though when they're fighting the Parshendi and Dalinar's army surrounded, and, here comes Kaladin, let's get the bridge 4 back in there, boys. And they're going, mate, what are you doing? Like, we're all going to die. He says, nah, listen, we're going to get in there and save Dalinar, and he did.
Yeah.
And Sadeas had egg on his face after that.
All right. Any theories or predictions for Words of Radiance? Like, where's the story going now?
Kaladin has to kick some ass. All right. So Sadeas is going to get it. All right. And he's going to get it from Kaladin and, help from Dalinar. But I predict, that Kaladin is going to really come to the fore. Stuff's going to go down.
What about Shallan? Do you think she's going to end up connecting with all these other characters, or do you think Sandor is going to keep them off to the side again for another book?
Difficult to say, because obviously Shallan and Yasna are now friends, and Yasna's happy to train her as her ward and take her under her wing and all that. Yeah, they're going to have to meet together. So Yasna and Navani are going to get together, and
by proxy,
Shallan will go over there, and so all the main characters will eventually meet up.
The last one I want to ask about is Seth. What do you think Seth's going to be doing? Well, you had the crazy revelation at the end, King Taravangian, with his hospital.
That was pretty gross, draining the blood of all these people.
Poor Seth, right?
Yeah.
All the killing he has to do.
I know. That's right. And again, you know, he's a mercenary that's got a conscience. He has no control because obviously whoever holds his little rock, what's it called?
The Oath Stone.
The Oath Stone. He has to do as he's told. You know I should get an Oath Stone for you.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, but you do feel sorry for Seth that, he's put in a situation that he has to do as he's told, and whoever holds that Oath Stone has control.
Yeah. Alright, so who are your kind of favourite characters / best moments that you would say, off the top of your head?
Okay, alright. Well, obviously Kaladin, because, you know, you are cheering for him and you know that he's the underdog, and you always like a good underdog story when, you know, they end up being triumphant at the end. But the other character that I found very interesting was Wit, because I think it's always good to pay out on people and insult people and get away with it. They're having some party or whatever, and all these people are coming in, and it was just insult after insult after insult. And they were all taking it because, like, he's the king's wit. Mm-hmm. And so I found him very interesting, and I think he becomes a crucial character. Other interesting characters, like, you know, all the guys from Bridge 4, like, they're all sensational.
The boys.
Like, Rock is just great. You know, some of the ingredients that he cooks with, you know. Well, they got him into trouble, I think.
With Sadeas, yeah.
Sadeas. So, no, all the guys from Bridge 4, I think, have rallied around Kaladin because, you know, he leads by example, and so, you know, a good leader takes the fall for his men. And
I have to ask, I don't want to. What were the cons of this book? What stuck out to you as maybe some drawbacks?
All right. It was long. Yeah, it's the longest book I've ever read in my life, or it's the longest book I've ever listened to in my entire life, when you're looking at close to 50 hours. I thought maybe the interludes, you know, probably at the beginning, you sort of think, okay, what are these? Who are these people? Randoms. You know, I wanted to get back to the story of either Kaladin or Shallan or whatever was happening. And then you've got these little interludes that are not necessarily annoying, but they sort of take you away from the main story. But as always, you know, they do have meaning.
Some of the interlude characters take a while to play into it. I'd say the interludes are most jarring in Way of Kings, whereas later on they play more directly into what's happening. A lot of the interludes in Way of Kings are really cool and significant, but it takes a long time because you're so new to what's going on. It takes a long time to understand why they're there or what the point is. So confirmed you're going on to continue through the series?
Oh, well, I have to. Like, this is it. Like, Way of Kings is the setup, and now you're waiting for the payoff.
Yeah.
All right? So you can't just say, oh, I've read Way of Kings. Oh, that's it, I'm finished.
Yeah.
No. You can't do that. So you have to go on. And that's a credit to the author, because obviously, you know, he is prolific and he knows how to just keep you drawn in.
Drop those breadcrumbs. You have to keep knowing what's happening.
I'm now on the journey.
Yeah.
So
journey before destination.
Journey before destination.
That's what it's all about.
That's it.
So, guys, I did it. We've all tried to get our family members to do it, but got Dad, got him to finish The Way of Kings, so off he goes on to Words of Radiance. And if you'd like to hear his thoughts on Book 2, please let us know. This was a great video to make. Thanks, Dad.
No worries.